Hey, this is your girl Lala from Christian Ladies Rock. How are you? I'm joined today with two very special young ladies. These are my grandchildren. This is little Lala, and this is Nix. Say hi, Nix. Hi. Ladies, we're coming to you today with another insert. We want to talk about cleaning out our closet. Now, when you're going through your transformation and you're trying to evolve, into your greatness, what God has, in store for you to be, you have to go through processes in order to completely eliminate certain elements from your life, such as people that weren't so good for you to hang out with, that didn't have your best interest at heart. People that you loved maybe very, very dearly, but they brought the worst parts out of you and made you the worst person you could possibly imagine to be. I experienced that in my own life several times. Just the energy of certain people around me would just bring out such an ugly part of me. And it was very eye-opening when I started to discover a lot of this, as far as connecting who I want to be with who I actually was at the time. So as God began to work on my spirit and penetrate my heart, He started to fine-tune my discernment and my mother wit, so to speak, my common sense, and and my perception, the way that I see things, the way I perceive the world and myself in general, how I wanted what I wanted people to see me, in their eyes. So I no longer cared what people thought about me, but I did care about the image that I was portraying. So as I began to go through my trials and tribulations and my cleansing process, I began to ask God, instead of asking Him to change this person because, oh, please just change this person because I just can't deal with them anymore like this. I began to ask God to change me. Change me and give me the patience, the long suffering that it takes to tolerate difficult people. And it's hard still to this day, I admit, to deal with difficult people. You have to stay under the blood. You have to stay in prayer. You have to stay conscious of your surroundings, aware of what's going around you and the energy that is coming and going in your immediate circle. Because I try very hard to keep a harmonious environment inside my home. I need to feel comfortable, and I needed to feel safe there. And I had in my days, I ran the streets a lot. I was always in the streets. I'd be up for 2, 3 days, 4 days at a time, just ripping and running, and God began to work on me, and things that I desired in my sinful days, I began to lose a taste for. I began to lose a taste for drugs. I began to lose a taste for alcohol. I finally began to lose a taste for smoking cigarettes and smoking weed and everything. So I completely understand how hard it is to let go of your life. And food was one of my crutches. So ladies, we need to start our cleansing process and start eliminating things that we know, using our common sense and our mother wit, the good brains that God gave us, to start saying, now wait a minute, this is just not good for my life at all. and eliminate it from your existence, from your lifestyle, from your energy, from anything that it's hindering, okay, if you will. So like I was saying about the plant and how it grows roots, and how those roots go so far deep down into the soil and allow the soil and the moisture to nurture it and to give it substance and strength and power and might, so that it can grow and it can penetrate the earth and blossom and bloom and flourish and thrive. And we have to do that, ladies, in our own lives. We have to do it for our children. We have to do it for our grandchildren, because they're our future. And we need to start giving our young ladies the qualities, the goals, and the morals that they need to be godly women, to be godly wives, godly mothers. And we have to start when they're born, when they're old enough to understand, when they're getting ornery and they're getting harder and harder to handle and to understand and to keep under control. You have to put your foot down. So we need to do that with ourselves. We need to learn some self-control. I began to ask my mother a lot, how did she deal with me, in order for me to start to understand what type of person she's always perceived me to be, and how I've always perceived myself, so that I could compare the two, weigh the pros and the cons, and eat the meat of the watermelon and spit out the nasty seeds. Now, I know everyone has heard that you reap what you sow. I know everybody's heard of karma. And I know everyone has heard the term, what goes around comes around. And with that being said, I've been the victim of circumstance, karma, and reaping what I sow. Because of my years of drug abuse and running the streets and not taking care of my health, I have several health problems now that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. Because of my lack of self-control, because of my lack of self-worth and self-esteem, I allowed others to beat me down and define how I felt about me. It was a hard process to undergo in order to transform my thought process, my mindset, and to learn how to look at Lala in the mirror and like the person within. Not necessarily the frame, being overweight or what have you, having, scars or whatever it is, So ladies, once I started to work on and hone in to the person that I wanted to be, God started showing me the person that He designed me to be. So, in other words, I had a plan of what I thought I was supposed to be and who I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to be. And God said, this is my plan for you. And this is what I plan for you to do. I always knew that there was something important for me to do, that there was a great work or something that needed to come from me. I didn't know the source of how it would come, why it would come, when it would come, or through whom. But I've always felt there was something out there that needed to be said or done through me. Through the desire to match my desires, needs, and wants with the needs of others and the desires that God has, that for me has designed for my life. And once I began to match my needs and my wants and my desires with the Lord, things started to fall into place. And I was getting blessings so abundantly and so rapidly, I honestly had to stop for a minute and say, Lord, I don't know if I can handle any more blessings right now. You're scaring me. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really, actually, literally prayed that prayer. Because I also know that God will only bless us and increase our blessings with what He knows He can trust us with. And I had to also begin the learning process of understanding that He sends us through certain, ladies, you have to start with that root yet again and get it deep down and dug up in that dirt and that soil and let it fester and let it nurture and let it nurture, even if it takes 5 years, 2 years, 10 years. It's okay, because God is going to ordain all the time that you need to do what He needs for you to do. So don't worry about tomorrow. Concentrate on being the best me you can be today. It's a gift. It's a present, and it is called the present, because that's exactly what it is. Life is a gift, a present that He gives us as spiritual beings to be allowed to inhabit a fleshly vessel, to cohabitate with one another and with the environment around us and with the elements that in the atmosphere that God has miraculously designed. So our minds need to be in tune with our heart. Our heart needs to be in tune with our flesh. Our flesh needs to be in tune with our spirit. And our spirit needs to be in tune with our soul. So how do you obtain balance? Well, it might be different for each person. But I started with a prayer journal when I started my journey of salvation and my lifestyle change of living a Christian, a Christ-like, godly life. I wasn't comfortable praying because I didn't know if my prayers were effective. I didn't know if He was actually even hearing my prayers. So, as I would listen to my daily morning worship, I had certain songs that I listened to every single morning the minute I woke up. And I would grab my book and I would meditate on those songs as they played over and over and over and over again. And I would ask God to speak to me. Allow me to pull out what I need to hear, what I need to work on, what I need to learn how to pray effectively. And He did. So some of my prayers have lyrics to songs that touch my heart, and just things in general that I wrote down that God would convict me of and that I knew needed to be changed in my life and in the person that I wanted to be for my God. So I no longer would feel ashamed and feel unworthy and feel unloved and feel underappreciated and undervalued. Now, I say undervalued because a lot of people, no matter what you do for them, no matter how you struggle and how you sacrifice for them, they will belittle you and not appreciate you. And they will down talk you, but they will still always come back to you asking for a handout. And that's being undervalued, ladies. If a man that you love with all of your heart comes to you and says, baby, I need $150. And you give him this $150. And then he goes out and spends it on only God knows what. And you don't see him for days or hear from him for days or even weeks. And he happens to pop up all of a sudden, talking about, oh baby, you know, such and such and such and such. And then goes right back to that same cycle with you, you know, and he sweet talks you and gives you this whole spiel. He's undervaluing you as his woman in his life. And he's using you, ladies. He's using you. And no queen, no lady needs to go through that type of behavior. So let's stop the madness. Let's start setting in some roots. And let's start getting grounded, ladies. And stop letting the world tell you who and what you are, because you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're strong, and you're worthy. Ladies, Jesus loves you. We love you here at Christian Ladies Rock. We'll see you real soon.